all night trying to figure this out. I drank a half a bottle of whiskey, sat down on my couch. Couldn't believe what they were talking about when someone said they found you dead at your house. And how could this be true? I still needed you. I can't believe that I'll never see you. It must have been so bad I can't begin to even try to explain what you've been through. There's no way out, only a way through. You should have stayed here, I could have saved you. Well, I've been up all night trying to figure this out. I wrote a million different words to let you know how I felt. Nothing really sounds special enough, and they don't have the words to tell how it was. When you should have stayed here, I could have saved you. There's no mistake that we couldn't work through. Nobody hates you, they want you safe, dude. You let me all on my own, I can't replace you. There's no way out, only a way through.
Hey, how we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Good evening from the Mike Files, 52 miles east of Yellowstone Park. I said I'm wearing sunglasses tonight. I was out on my bike and just got the shit kicked out of my eyes with the wind. Some studio lights are kind of painful tonight. So this is what you get. Anyhow, I don't really have any notes tonight, but we're going to, we being my 3.2 listeners and myself, we're going to discuss a few things going on here. Every time that there's something that just takes over the news that's inconsequential. I mean, like, excuse me, I gotta clean these off. The whole Joe Rogan thing, right? Okay, now Joe Rogan is a very influential voice. He's done a lot for a lot of people. He's, he basically, I mean, if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be talking to you because he created this space. You know what I mean? I mean, the guy is, he's a very influential individual. I got nothing but respect for the man. I was watching some stuff earlier though last night when I did the podcast. I was talking about how a lot of the things that Rogan had said had been taken out of context, and especially the tweet that Super PAC had put together, that being Midas Touch and whatever, the Patriot Times or whatever the other one was. But then there was a numerous bunch of others that they basically retweeted the same thing. And what they'd done was a mashup of Joe Rogan quoting other people saying the N-word and then mashing it together to make it sound like that was something that, that was in his vocabulary, when in fact, it's not the case. Now, he's come out and he's apologized for it. This is 12 years ago. That's, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite here because I've called out Joe Biden for shit that he said, years and years ago as well. I mean, I think we have to own the things that we say. The only thing that I've never heard from Biden has ever been an apology for anything that he's ever said. I don't believe he ever, the guy was, he was somebody that considered Strom Thurmond a mentor. He did a eulogy for Robert Byrd. We've gone over this over and over. Joe Rogan is not a racist, okay? I've seen him have everybody. I mean, he's had. I mean, him and Chappelle have a great relationship. He's had, Donnell Rollins on there, over and over. Andrew Yang came out and issued an apology saying that he was sorry for saying that Joe wasn't a racist. I think all this apologist shit has got to stop, because everything that I went back and looked at with Rogan, with him saying that word, it was in context to something else. It wasn't his opinion. It wasn't him. He was not saying that word towards a person of color. He was quoting other people. And unfortunately, in journalism, sometimes we do have to quote other people. Now, should he have maybe not said, I don't know. That's a hard one. That's a difficult one to discuss. It's such a difficult subject. I mean, in my mind, I mean, being that my best friend is a black man, I I I won't say that word. You won't hear me say that. Regardless of whether I'm quoting somebody or not, I just won't say it because it's inappropriate. And I've been in scenarios where it's been a word that's been directed towards me as a term of friendship or what have you, not nastily, but by a person of color. And I've stopped the conversation and said, hey, now, if you're saying that as a term of endearment or of respect or saying that we're friends, that's fine. But I might just think of this. If you're referring to me as something that I can't refer to, if I can't use the same nomenclature when I, respond to you, then maybe we need to examine this a little bit further. I mean, I have no problem with the African American community saying, "Hey, this is now our word." That's fine, and I'm not offended by it. I mean, I don't like hearing it. That I don't like hearing that terminology used. The one thing that I really fucking hate, and I'm going to tell you this right now, I hate this when I speak with white people and they say this. Well, there's black people and then there's N words. That makes me fucking nuts, and I'll twist. I twist off when people say that. See, I'm not the kind of person that just sits there and listens to shit like that. If I'm out in a public place and somebody says something like that to me, I'm gonna set them straight, just like I would do on the show if somebody called in and told me that same thing. You see, here's the deal. In every group of people, be you dividing people up racially, by religion, what have you, socioeconomic status, whatever, you're going to have people that are assholes. Okay? And so those people are, in my mind, referred to as being assholes or pieces of shit or whatever you want to refer to those people as. However, I did not look at a person, be them, whatever background they have. I'm not going to use a stereotypical name to define them or make some excuse about how there's this and there's that. I mean, you can say, there's white people and then there's fucking honkies. No, there's good, decent folks, and then there's assholes. And then you have ignoramuses in there too. There's a lot of ignorant people out there as well, and I don't know what class they fall into, but you can just call them ignorant. I mean, you have a lot of people that say things about another race based on ignorance, and it's based on fear as well, because you have people, for example, where I live, there's not a big diversity in this part of the world. And so you have a lot of people that have grown up their entire life and they've never known anybody from a different background. And because of that, they're kind of fearful of it, and so based on, the examples that have been set for them, be it their parents, grandparents, people they went to school with, even teachers. When I was in high school here, there was a girl, and I was in this history class, right? Like we went in, I think it was my senior year, and we walked into the class with this teacher that we had all had issues with, and it was myself and you guys know who you are if you're listening to this. We were, from what I saw, we were decent people. It's just this guy was a nutbag, and we walked in and he just kicked us all out of class immediately. So we didn't have any place to go. So they had a separate history class for us in the wood shop, and the superintendent of schools taught this history class. And there was a classmate of mine, and she was dating a black man that was playing basketball at the community college up the road, and a bunch of the students in my class, guys that I had grown up with, and I never thought I would hear this out of their mouth. They started in class, started calling her N-word lover, and it broke her heart. She started crying. I mean, I remember getting up, putting my arm around her, and basically standing up in class and telling those guys to shut the fuck up and fuck off. And the superintendent of schools was the one teaching this class, and he just sat there and let it go on. So I walked her outside, and we had a conversation, and I told her just to ignore the shit. You know what I mean? But it was pretty mean spirited. And these guys, they didn't know this dude. They didn't know anything about it. But that was what they, so right there, I got a firsthand look at ignorance and fear. And that, I think that motivates a lot of it. I mean, I think I would venture to guess, now this is just an estimation of mine, but I would venture to guess that probably 75% of the white supremacy out there comes from people that have never been exposed to anybody of a different race or background. Guys that have never been to a black barbecue. I won't miss one of those. And I would advise you all not to miss one either. Don't miss one of my barbecues either, because they're pretty good. But I mean, I would never miss a black barbecue. Tell you what, that's some of the best shit in the world. You know, be that, say what you want about that. That's not me being racist or anything like that. That's just, I wouldn't miss one. You know, same with a Hispanic or you know, hell, I had neighbors in Washington State and Tacoma. Had neighbors that were they were islanders. You know, I mean, oh God, their barbecues, holy cow. I mean, you want to talk about some good food. I mean, amazing. I wouldn't miss one of those. And I wouldn't miss one of my barbecues either. If you're around, don't miss one of mine, because hey, guess what? I can kind of throw some shit out there. Excuse me, I'm a little parched, but anyway, Joe Rogan is not a fucking racist. This is bullshit. This is all it's all, they're running interference, right? I mean, now who has heard anything about Ukraine recently? That was everywhere, wasn't it? Wasn't that the talking point of everyone? And now we've got the likes of this cabbage head fucking, and that's not a racist term. I know somebody's going to turn it into that. This Brian Stelter. How did that guy get on CNN? How did he get there? He is horrible. I mean, not only is he just unappealing to even look at, but good God, he's just absolutely horrible. And Russell Brand called him out earlier today, and it was absolutely hilarious and spot on. Russell Brand, dude, fucking Rocket Russell, dude, you nailed it, man. I mean, he put it right on him, you know. He nailed it. And Russell's been on Joe's show. They put out a list of Joe's right-wing leanings of his guests. They had Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, Tulsi Gabbard, right? She served in Congress as a Democrat. She ran for president in the last election as a Democrat. She is a Democrat. She is, she's a very spiritual person. And I'm not trying to be ignorant here, but she does practice. I believe she's Hindu. Now, I could be wrong, okay, but she does practice an Eastern religion. It's all about like peace and love, you know. Like she plays the ukulele. I mean, she's like, I was behind her on the last election. Excuse me. I mean, if you go back and look at my social media posts from the last election, you'll see that I backed her 100%. And people call me a neocon, you know, I mean, I get that shit all the time. I mean, just because I'm a white dude from Wyoming, I'm automatically a right-wing racist son of a bitch. When in fact, I'm pro gay marriage. I'm pro transgender. I'm pro women's rights. I mean, there's, you know, I'm completely behind Medicare for all. I think everybody should have health care. If we're paying fucking taxes in this country, and all those tax dollars, if all they do is just go to blow up brown people overseas for oil wars for the elite, then, I mean, I'm not behind that. I don't know many of you that probably really are, to tell you the truth. I think if people really understood what was going on, then you wouldn't be behind this shit that's been propagated on us over the you know, shit since the existence of this fucking country. I mean, I think 1913 was probably when shit really went sideways. And then when Nixon, took us off the gold standard, I mean, things went bad there monetarily and economically. But I mean, you know, you talk about the civil rights movement, okay? I mean, you don't for that to have occurred in the amount of time that it did occur within, you look at the civil rights movement and then the inception of this country and the fact that slavery was legal and the fact that in that short of a really period of time that things changed that moment, that I mean that's a big change. I don't think any other country in history has had a change like that. Now, is there still change that needs to go on? Yes, of course there is. There are disparities that are out there. I mean, there certainly are. I'm not denying that by a damn sight. I mean, there's no way I'm making that argument. In the judicial system, socially, economically, I mean, there's a lot of things that we still have to get better at. But I think that overall we are trying. I mean, I think that your everyday person, your people that you run into throughout your day, I don't think there's a lot of racism going all out there. I really don't. I don't see it. I think that what happens is that the media perpetuates it. Politicians perpetuate it for sure because that's how they get votes, and they know that regardless of Democrat, Republican, that the votership, the votes are going to change. At least every 8 years, if not every 4. I mean, you have, like I guess Bush was 8, Obama had 8. Trump got his 4, and I mean, he got 4 because he was, such a polarizing character and that was the media. I mean, for fuck's sake, they fucking impeached the guy after he was out of office. I mean, that's not even constitutional. And I honestly didn't see, I mean, I don't know that I saw, anything racist with the guy. I mean, maybe with, I didn't agree with what he said about football players kneeling for the anthem because I'm 100% behind that. I think that's the most peaceful protest that you could fucking have. And I think that I don't think there's anything wrong with it, especially if you're somebody that has actually read all the stanzas of the national anthem. Because if you read the other stanzas of that song, and then you understand the background of it, and you understand that everything you were taught in school about it was a lie, because Francis, or whatever his name was, Francis Scott Key, he didn't write that in the brig of a British ship, that was anchored off the shore of, the United States. Not the case. That's another example of history being written by the winners and being told in a false manner. So I don't believe in the flag song. I don't think that has anything to do with who we are as people that live here. I don't think that. The same with the flag. Do you know that you're not supposed to? I mean, you're not supposed to wear the flag. You understand that? You're not supposed to wear it. Do you know how many you go to a Walmart? How many T-shirts and hats and shit like that you see with American flags? I mean, you're not supposed to do that. It's defined that you're not supposed, to do that. But yet people do that and no one says a thing. But a guy takes a knee because of racial disparity in the judicial system. We've got a president in office that was the architect of the 1994 crime bill that completely escalated sentences for black men, took them away from their families, and was responsible for a lot of young black children growing up without a father. And for black women having to work 3-4 jobs, live in, communities where you have gang activity. And I mean, if you've got 4 or 5 kids and you're working 3 jobs, you don't have a lot of opportunity to supervise that. And especially when you're talking about, a community where you've got gang activity. I mean, you've got especially young men that are growing up in situations where they don't have a choice. I mean, it's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to get jumped into the gang, or are you going to let them make your life hell, beat your ass every day and rape your sisters? What are you going to do? and then they won't sit there and talk about these are bad men, these are bad people, blah 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 blah. No, these are people that were they're victim of the circumstance. You know what I mean? And this guy that we have in office right now, he was a major architect in that happening. I was inside. I was in the feds when they kicked the points down and guys got out. Like, they kicked guys out the door immediately. Like, there were dudes I was in with that had been down 10, 15, 20 years. And they came in and said, roll up, you're out, you're going home. And these guys are like, whoa, what? Like, you know, one cat up the way from me, D, he was a cat from Baltimore, paralyzed from the waist down, you know, gun violence. He's sitting there, and he's literally sitting there with me and Joshua and another dude, Tweet, you know, sitting there with it, and they come back and they said, you know, roll up your, and I mean, they put him, he's in a wheelchair, they put him on a bus, sent him all the way across the country in a bus. Now, great guy, from what I understand, he's in again, I don't know, but I mean, to see that happen, there was a number of guys in my unit that you know, I mean, they were cut loose, you know, but Biden was the one, I mean, my friend Joshua, I mean, you look up his casework, and I mean, his first charge ever, got set up, completely set up, career criminal in court. They careered him on outstanding traffic and parking tickets. Had that been me getting those charges, I'd have got 5 years. He got like 18. I think it even had an indefinite ending on it. And I mean, one of the happiest days, like I said, that was when he called me up and said that you know, that he'd gotten his sentence commuted and he was going home. He should have never been in there that long. And now we've got this guy, and he's going to get up there at the State of the Union, and he's going to take responsibility for COVID being eliminated. Well, COVID ran its course, people, and it did exactly what Robert Malone said it was going to do. It mutated. It became the unicorn, and now we got the unicorn part 2. Everybody's going to get it. Everybody's going to have a little cold, and they're going to get immunity. And we allowed this jackass to divide us, calling it a pandemic of the unvaccinated, when in fact, he doesn't even understand why certain people are vaccinated. I'm not vaccinated. It's because I had the original strain of it, and I had the Delta variant. So I have an escalated immunity to this shit. Now, am I going to get the unicorn? Maybe I will. I don't know, but it's not going to be that bad. I've had a cold before. I mean, and once everybody gets it, I mean, Fauci has even come out, and this is not misinformation. Let me first put that out there. Fauci's come out and said everybody's going to get this shit. This is the man that nobody can contradict because he, you know, Tony Science, right? He is science. But yet Joe Rogan is putting out misinformation because he came out and he spoke about how he got through it. And I don't know if you saw the CNN version of what they did with the video that he put out, but they turned him greenish gray, made him look like he was absolutely about on his deathbed. It's not how the video looked when he put it out. They doctored it up. They did what CNN does. That's what they do. That's who they are. So if you're somebody that listens to those idiots, or any of these idiots, they're all terrible. It doesn't matter. There's a couple decent people out there in the news media, and that's about it. You know, I mean, that's why you need to go elsewhere to get your information. You know, you need to be listening to people like Jimmy Dore. You need to tune into the Gray Zone. You need to look, and I encourage people to look across the aisle towards other individuals. I mean, you know, I like listening to Cigar and Crystal Ball. I don't know. Ryan Grimm kind of, I mean, he, you know, he's gotten better, I think, but, you know, there for a while he was marginal. But like Max Blumenthal, Aaron Monte, I mean, these are people that are on the left, but, you know, somewhere along the way, the whole idea of being liberal, I think, got changed into this, it turned into a dysphomistic word. When you think about, okay, we all talk about freedom and liberty. Well, where does the word liberal come from? Liberty, right? I mean, that's what I never understood is where did it skew? Because I would consider myself to be liberal, certainly socially. I mean, I really do not give. Whatever you got to do, whatever, however you want to live your life, you live your life that way. And if you're happy, I'm happy for you. I don't care if you're born a man and you decide that you want to transition. Hey, if that makes you happy, if that makes you who you are, then great. I got no problem with it, none whatsoever. I mean, I mean, if you're not heterosexual, I don't care. Are you happy? I mean, a guy I met in Seattle when I first moved there, I talked to him at a party one night, and he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, is that your vehicle out there with the Wyoming plates on it?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I like that sticker on there, the Fight Prime Time, Read a Book." And I said, "Oh yeah, right on, man." And we started talking a little bit. Then I cut to the chase with people. I said, "Pardon me. I mean, I said, I'm not trying to be insulting here." I said, "But you're gay, right?" And he kind of got like flushed and weird about it. And he's like, "Well," I said, I said, "Dude, I'm not coming at you like I'm not going to keep talking to you." I'm like, "I was just asking, you know." I was like, "I'm just, just asking you a question." And he proceeded to tell me that, as a matter of fact, yes, he was. And his father was a pastor, and that he had never come out because of that. And I said, "Well, you've never had a date with a female, right?" He said, "No." I said, "Are you? I mean, you're not living life like being who you are, right?" And he was like, we had a long talk about it. And I said, "Man," I said, "I'm not trying to tell your business, man, but I'm like, I was like, I just met you." I said, "But you seem like a good person." I was like, "Don't you think you'd be more happy if you could be who you are?" And I mean, it was kind of an emotional conversation. And the guy he ended up coming out, and now he's happily married. He's got a husband, and he's living the life that he should have been living for a long time, but he couldn't do so. And so that, I mean, what I'm saying is that, like, anybody that wants to label me as this, that, or the other thing, that's the type of person that I support wholeheartedly in whatever it is they want to do. So I'm not coming at this from any type of perspective. I mean, my whole ideology on politics is I just want to walk away from it. I don't want anything to do with it, and I wish we all would walk away from it because it's become so skewed. They politicize everything. They divide us. I mean, here you got Joe Rogan. Rogan has 200 million subscribers. He has 11 million people tune in to every one of his shows on Spotify. Spotify has cut 113 of his shows. And then these super PACs, this Midas Touch and Patriot Times and all these other individuals that are associated with this super PAC, they've managed to make a clip show making it look like Joe Rogan, was using the N-word like David Duke or something. Now, I would be willing to bet that his usage of that word when he being taken out of context is probably nothing compared to what you would hear at a luncheon with a bunch of old Democrats like a Strom Thurmond or Robert Berger, people like that Hillary Clinton called one of her mentors. I mean, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And the whole cancel culture thing that's gone on, everybody wants to shut everybody down. If you say something that you don't, somebody doesn't agree with, or it's the whining, sniveling, shut them down, deplatform them. Rumble came out, they offered Rogan $100 million for 4 years. And by the way, this will be on Rumble too. I'm putting my stuff slowly up on Rumble. So if you guys are on there, they're not censoring anybody, and no, they're not just a right wing, whatever anybody wants to say. I think Trump has an affiliation with him, but I think that Trump should be able to say whatever he wants to say too. I miss his funny tweets. I mean, I wasn't a huge supporter of him, but hey, the guy was fucking hilarious. You can't argue that. Every single nickname that he put on these idiot people, it stuck. I mean, he was hilarious. He did some good things. He did some bad things. And, just like every president, it's the same thing that I always go back to. A president is okay, everything is a microcosm if you can shrink it down, right? So let's shrink the presidential election and let's take it to something that everybody is familiar with, and that would be a high school student council election, right? The guy that's up there talking about getting better food in the cafeteria, the guy that's talking about pop machines on every corner, the guy he's putting out promises that his ass can't cash. There's no fucking way. He's never going to cash that. There's no way. He doesn't have a say in that. It's just like the president. It's like Biden getting up there and saying he's going to do debt forgiveness for all student loans, right? Did that happen? He campaigned on it. Did that happen? $15 an hour minimum wage. Did that happen? I mean, he came out straight up within a month or two and said that's probably off the table. Yeah, that didn't happen. Those were things he campaigned on. He came out and told Charlemagne the God that if you don't vote for me, you ain't. If you're black, and you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. How's a guy like that going to say that when he knows he's responsible for that crime bill in 1994 that imprisoned thousands and thousands and thousands of black men for ungodly sentences for nonviolent drug offenses? Now, when you grow up in neighborhoods like that, where you don't have equality of opportunity. Now, I'm talking equality of opportunity. There's a difference between that and equality of outcome. We've had this discussion before as well. When you grow up in a neighborhood where you don't have equality of opportunity, and you can sit there and you can say, looking from the outside in, you can say, oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Anybody can be who they want to be in the United States. No, it's not how it works. It's not how it works. You've got people that are starting at the negative 10-yard line, and then you have people that are starting at the 50, 60-yard line. You know, people like George fucking Bush, people like fucking, Mitt Romney. There is privilege out there, people, believe it or not. I'm sorry. I know people are going to get pissed off about that, but there's privilege, and it's on, it happens on, either side of the racial, fence, whatever. There are people that are starting from the negative 10-yard line on a football field. They're starting from the back of the end zone, and another guy's, fielding the punt at the 50-yard line with no defenders. How many frat boys y'all know out there that they have never had to worry about a goddamn thing, and they still, as grown-ass men refer to their fathers as daddy. They wear visors and shit with names like Kip. I know a number of them. I hate them. But the thing is they did never have anything different to, they never had. I guess what I'm saying is that those, I shouldn't say I hate those people, because I don't. They just never had, I guess, any opportunity to see things from a different light. But I remember in college, like, especially when I was a freshman, like, we would go through the captains on the baseball team and send us out. And like we would go to these frat parties, and we'd like go in the back door, and the whole deal was we had to run through and sock as many dudes with pop collars, so we're running through, bam, bam, and then out the front door, and that was kind of our comeuppance or whatever. And I got to admit, it was fun and it was funny. If you ever seen the look of some guy named Kip with his pop collar, with his, a pink pop collar with the alligator or the little horse on the thing, and he's standing there with his little drink, chopping it up with some sorority girl, and you just come running through and just sock that guy. Okay, maybe that wasn't right, but it was funny. I was like, here you go, pal. So you have people like that, that are never going to know what it's like to be, on the other side. I'm not ever going to know that either. I come from a place of, even though I'm, oil field trash or whatever, I grew up in this little town, there's not a lot of crime here, not a lot of drugs, there's no gangs, even though they say there is. Idiots try and, justify shit like that, but that's not the case. So, I come from that position as well, but the place I also come from is the fact that I did leave here, and I spent a lot of time in cities and in places that people from here haven't been. And I've got friends from all different walks of life and spent time in federal prison in Southern California, and I mean, went through all that. And so I've had a different trajectory, I guess you could say. And I've made friends with everybody. I mean, any city I go to across the country, I've got friends, of all walks of life, from every background. And to me, it doesn't even fucking matter. But what I see is that we're sitting here and we're using this whole Joe Rogan thing, and people are just flipping out about it. You got fucking Neil Young, who's sold out to Big Pharma for $150 million. What's it matter if he pulls his fucking music off of Spotify? He already made his $150 million from basically from Blackstone. I mean, and they're pulling his strings. Joni Mitchell, who gives a fuck? Pull your music off of there. Who gives a fucking shit? Who cares? The thing that pisses me off is that Spotify's pulled 113 of Joe's episodes off of there, and I'm really tempted to pull my shit off of there. And I'm nobody. I'm nothing. All 3.2 of you out there know that I'm nothing. I'm just a yammering, idiot that's sitting here, chopping this shit up. But, I mean, I'm tempted to, I've been a premium member of Spotify for 6-7 years now. I mean, it's all I listen to when I get in my truck. My phone goes to the Bluetooth. That's where my music comes from when I'm out on my motorcycle and I've got my Bluetooth earbuds in under my helmet. That's what I'm listening to. I'm really tempted to just get rid of it. If they're gonna keep doing this to Rogan, then, I mean, nobody should be censored. Really, I don't care. I don't care how bad your speech happens to be. That's the idea of free speech. You say something that's ignorant and sideways and totally fucked up, then guess what? People like me have the right to come at you and tee off on you verbally as well. If you want to tee off on something, if you want to go and say ignorant shit, then guess what? You're going to get something coming right back at you and shut you down. And that's the idea. It's not that you have this governing group that says, well, this is okay and this isn't. This is misinformation. This is racist. This is that. This is the other thing. It's like, if it's fucked up, then there's plenty of people out there that can refute it. In this society, we all have, or we should have, a right to speak up. And people should speak up. And I encourage everybody out there, speak up. Get out there. Get involved. Talk about these issues. Get yourself involved. I don't give a shit which way you lean. I don't care. If you're involved, and if you're open-minded and willing to listen, I'm willing to listen. I mean, trust me, I don't have it all right. I know that. And that's the first step towards trying to attain some wisdom, is to understand that, in fact, you don't have the whole thing locked in. You don't know. I mean, the term sophomore, where did that come from? Sophomore was what? A person that, is intelligent and thinks they know it all, right? Which sums up what a sophomore in high school is. Sums up what I was all the way until God knows when. I mean, it took me a long time to get to the point where I realized I know nothing. And I'm the first to admit it. I don't know shit. I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm trying to have the conversations. That's it. I'm not trying to, the only people that I'm coming out against are the people that are trying to shut others down. Because I think that we should all have a voice. We should all have that discourse. We should all have the ability to have the conversation. And through the conversation, we become better. But when you can't have the conversation, when you can't have the discussion, when you shut somebody down for saying something that's disagreeable, when you shut them down and deplatform them, rather than pulling them up and putting them in the hot seat and having the conversation, asking the questions, you're not only doing a service for everybody who's involved in participating in watching, but the individuals having the conversation are improving themselves as well. And some people you're not going to reach. Some people are just going to be who they are, and that's going to be the way it is. But, you don't shut him down. I mean, if you got some guy that's just spouting ignoramus bullshit, he's not going to have any views, and he's probably going to stop. I mean, it's just like the bully in high school. I mean, once the guy gets his ass kicked, once somebody stands up to him, guess what? It's done. And I don't understand where we've gone askew from that in this country. Where we've gotten so sensitive and so afraid. Everybody's afraid to say anything. We're afraid to do this. We're afraid to do that. I mean, we live in it's almost become tyranny, And that goes all the way down the line when you talk economics and it goes into politics, it goes into everything. People are afraid to stand up and say anything. It's like watching that female that was raped on the subway, and people were fucking taking footage of it, and not a single man on that subway stood up and stopped that dude. That fucking made me so angry. I was infuriated. I cannot even imagine seeing that happen and myself film, much less not doing anything, but sitting there and filming it on my fucking camera. Let me tell you this. Anybody out there that thinks that they're going to get away with that while I'm around, you're not going to. You might beat my ass. You might. But guess what? I've taken an ass whooping, and I'm not scared to take another one. But you will not do that to a female in front of me. Now, that's disgusting to me. When you have a train car full of people that sit there and they watch that go down, and not only do they watch it without intervening, but they film it. They film it. There's a problem that we have here, people. That represents a big problem in my mind. If you see it otherwise, let me know, but I don't see how that's not an issue. I don't see how we let these things go down. I mean, I can't even imagine sitting there and watching something like that happen to a female and just sitting there and then film it. I mean, those of you that know me know I'd be right in there. That shit would not be happening. I don't care. I mean, we need more people to be fearless. I'm not scared much of anything. I mean, I don't care how big you are. It really doesn't matter. I mean, I wouldn't want to fight Iron Mike. And I respect the shit out of Mike Tyson, too. As those of you seen, I sport Mike Tyson shirts and shit like that. I mean, I think that dude is he's gone through it and made a lot of mistakes, and he's come out the other side and has turned into a very wise, egoless human being that, I mean, I can't even imagine having lived his life being a heavyweight champ at 19, and I mean everything he went through, and yeah, he did get charged with rape, and that's not a good. I mean, not a good thing. But he's a family man now. He made his mistakes. I don't think anybody would know how to handle those scenarios that he was probably in. A young man coming from a broken home in a bad neighborhood and getting latched onto by a guy like Don King and then becoming a heavyweight champ and all those temptations and everything in front of you. I mean, it had to have been look at all the money he made and coming out with basically nothing at the end other than a prison sentence. I mean, but then you look at the transformation that man made and where he's at now. I got nothing but love and respect for that dude, straight up. But he's probably, I guess if I had to, I'd step in there with him, but I really wouldn't want to. I would definitely not want to. Even at 55, 56 years old, man, you watching him train, I mean, that's going to be crazy when he fights Logan Paul. That Logan Paul's actually pretty good too, man. I mean, he's a big kid, and he's put in a lot of training. I mean, he's a tough kid. I wouldn't want to fight him either, but I would if I had to. I don't care who it is. It doesn't matter, I mean, I see somebody doing something like that. I mean, we need to be like that more often. I mean, and we need to be like that when we see it. And you can take that to different levels, societally. I mean, when we see what's going on politically, when we see what's going on with, the economical system, the economy. I mean, what's happening in Canada. Let's get into that. You've got the drivers in Canada that have basically shut down Ottawa, and with good reason. And Canada's really, I mean, Trudeau, he's the things he's saying about these people. This is not a violent protest. They're sitting out there with their trucks running. These people are dancing. They have signs. Nobody's been hurt. There's not been any kind of, there's not been any violence or anything like that. I mean, the Canadians are, our brothers and sisters from the north are probably some of the most nonviolent people that there are out there, And quite honestly, what they're doing up there is something that we should have been doing here a long time ago. And it's about time that something like that did happen in this country. It's about time that people did stand up. You look at what they call the Great Resignation. As of last October, 38 million people quit their jobs. And they're not coming back. Why do you think that is? If you're one of those people out there, sound off on this. Why did you quit your job? Why are you not willing to go back? Why are there so many job offers out there? I get job offers. My whole fucking inbox is full every day of job offers. But guess what? I'm not going to work for anybody. I'm not going to go work for, and most of these people want to work remotely from home because with this pandemic, people were, I think that part of it was a gift because people actually went home and they sat back and they were able to just step away from the whole 9 to 5 mentality. And they were able to spend time with their families and they were able to reevaluate what life is. And people got to a point where they understood that, hey, this life is not about punching this clock. It's not about these things. It's not about the 2.3 kids, the minivan, the house in the burbs. It's not about that. It's about the people that I love and care about and spending time with them. And it's also about you. How many, and I'm not trying to be misogynistic here because I know there's plenty of, single mothers out there that go through it. But I can only speak from my perspective as who I am, right? I have empathy for everybody. I try to look at scenarios and situations as walking a mile in somebody else's shoes, even though I can't necessarily do that. But as a man, I look at what I've done my entire life. I've broken myself down to, I've got bad knees. My shoulders are fucking scorched. I hurt my back every day. Just to get out of bed. To get out of bed in the morning, I got to take 2 leave and lay there and let that kick in because my back hurts so bad it's hard to even get up. And that's what I've done my entire life. Is break my back, Brooke and I were laughing about it the other day, talking about the dumb shit we did. I remember being a young man on job sites and we'd see how many sheets of 3/4 inch plywood we could haul across a job site. And there wasn't anything that we wouldn't do, even when we knew it was unsafe. When you were told to climb up this ladder that was not safe to begin with and get up on a roof that you shouldn't be on, with no harness, and do something that you knew was not OSHA approved, and you knew that it was, you were taking your life in your hands for. When I started out in the construction business, I was making 8.25. Then you're up there hanging off something, 35, 40 feet up in the air, doing something stupid that is dumb, and you're doing it for that money, but you're doing it because you don't want, number one, you don't want to lose your job, right? That's the first thing. You need the job, even though the job sucks. You need it. Number two, you don't want anybody calling you a pussy. So you get up there and you fucking do stupid shit. I did stupid shit like that my entire existence in construction until I started my own business. And, I made it policy that anything over 28 feet in the air required a man lift, and that was part of the bid. I retired the 32-foot ladder. I'm probably going to get rid of I'm going to keep my 28, my 24, whatever, even though I'm not really doing that shit anymore. But I got to the point where I was like, I'm not putting anybody up there like that, in those situations and circumstances. And it doesn't matter if you're making 25, 35, 45, 50. How much money is it worth to fall off a fucking 40-foot ladder? And that's what, just being a dude and having been through that my entire life and watching all the other guys. I've seen guys do stuff that you just shake your head at. And most of it was because, number one, you don't want to lose your job. Number two, you don't want to, get ridiculed. You got to be a man, right? And it's for what? To make money for somebody else, you know? So I think with the Great Resignation, people were able to step away from this and realize, what the fuck am I doing? Why have I been doing this my entire life? Why am I, I mean, think about this. Think about how many of you out there, every Wednesday is hump day, right? How many of you out there every Wednesday say something about hump day with one of your coworkers? How many of you out there every Friday say TGI? How many of you hate Monday and show up late? The largest amount of heart attacks happen on Mondays because people don't want to go back to work. They fucking hate it. You're out there doing something you hate. And to bring this full circle, Rogan, he supports UBI, Universal Basic Income. And Andrew Yang, who ran as a Democrat, that was one of his focal points of his campaign was UBI. And his philosophy was that, well, if everybody had $1,000 a month, Universal Basic Income, if you had that $1,000 a month, that gives you a cushion, right? How many of you out there, how many people out there would that change your life? Would that give you that cushion? Would that take care of some bills for you? Would that take some of that pressure off and allow you to maybe be more creative, to maybe pursue something that you've been passionate about but you haven't been able to do? Myself, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be able to do this. Something I never thought I would see myself doing. I've been fortunate enough to get the guitar that I've always wanted, and I play that thing every day now. And I'm learning to play it, and I love it. I mean, it's some of the best part of my day. I've been writing. I've been doing things that are more creative, things that don't break my back, things that don't put me on my fucking knees and make me want to just get off work and just drink all the pain away, And I'm not making, much money off of doing it, but I don't care. And I think that as a lot of people have seen, they don't care about the money anymore. It's not about the money. It's about the quality of your life. It's about what are you doing? Like, are you happy? And the thing is that the money doesn't give you happiness. It doesn't. And so to bring it back full circle, Rogan is completely on board with that philosophy. And to sit there and say that a man that has drawn 200 million subscribers, that's 2/3 of America. Now we're talking globally, but that's 2/3 of the population of the United States. 200 million. You think about it? I would love to have 200 subscribers. I got like 57. So if you're watching this and and you get anything out of it, just give me a thumbs up at least. I don't want to be that guy whoring himself out. And if you get something out of it, subscribe, because it helps me keep doing this, because all this shit is expensive. And it takes time and it takes thought. And quite frankly, it takes, I was terrified. I bought all this shit to do this thing and I was terrified of it. I sat there and it sat in my other office for months. I was terrified to get on this thing. Absolutely scared to death. I didn't know. I mean, I wouldn't even get in front of the microphone until one day I got in front of the microphone and I talked and I put the headphones on and I spoke in the microphone and I thought, wow, I never thought my voice sounded like that before. I was like, holy shit. And, I just decided, okay, fuck it. Let's do it. So here we are. It might not mean anything to anybody. I don't care if it does or if it doesn't, but it means something to me. And if it means something to one person out there at all, if I help one individual out with the things I say, with the things that come out of my mouth, and if it makes any sense and it helps you out in your day-to-day life, then I consider it a success, regardless of whatever money's in it or anything like that, because I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing it because I do care about people, and I care about the direction that society's going. I care about, the world that we're leaving for our children, because we're not here that long. We're not here that long. And most of us have spent a good portion of our lives doing things that make us unhappy in order to make money for somebody else. And those people that we're making money for, they're not happy either, because, quite frankly, the rich people are some of the most miserable son of a bitches I've ever met in my life. I mean, really, they are. I mean, unless it's a self-made person. I mean, I know some cats that, came from the trailer park and came up, but you know what they do? Those are the guys that give back. Those are the guys that participate in charitable acts and do things like that. And I mean, when I was making money, making more money, I guess I'd say. I mean, I was trying to do that. I was trying to give back and contribute it to charitable things, when I could. I mean, I was never making a shit ton of money. I mean, I did well there for a number of years, but it didn't make me happy, though. That was the thing. It was like, yeah, okay, bank account looks good, but it's like, at the end of the day, you look at it and you go, and you sit back and you go, is this what I want to do? Is this what I'm here for? And I think that's what's happened with kind of this great resignation, the great quit, whatever. You think about 38 million people just quitting and walking away. I mean, that's 10% of the population. Now at 334 million, my brother would be a better one to answer this question. But I mean, you look at that. I mean, say roughly half of those are, you're talking kids that aren't in the workforce. And so then I mean, you can take that percentage and then say, okay, well that's more than 10%, more than 10% of the workforce, obviously. And they're not wanting to come back. So you got to ask yourself, well, what have we been doing? What have we been pushing? Why is it this mentality of you got to go, you got to go to college and you got to get these grades and then you got to go into debt, get these jobs and all that shit. I mean, it's bullshit. For what? There's plenty out there for all of us. We have plenty of resources for everybody to be comfortable. And I'm not talking about communism like everybody lives in this, we're not talking about like everybody's going to live in a little hut or whatever, I mean, it's not that. And that's where Joe Rogan's coming from too. I mean, I see that in him. I listen to the guy all the time, so I guess, where I'm coming from with all that is that it's just ridiculous to take a man like this and label him as a neoconservative right-wing nutcase when he's not. He's never voted for a Republican, which I don't care who you vote for, to tell you the truth, because it doesn't fucking matter who you vote for, because you're going to get the same thing. You're going to get the same thing on either side of the fence, and they all know that, and they all play that game with you, all these elitists, and they're a small percentage, right? We have 435 representatives, we have 100 senators. And then we have the president, the VP, and his cabinet. I mean, we're talking about under, maybe 1,000 people, right, that are like, treating you like a fucking sock puppet, sticking their hand up your ass, making you talk. That many people out of 334 million, we're the ones that are supposed to be making the calls. The people. That's how the document starts out, as we the people. Now, are we going to be we the people, or are we going to sit back and just let these fucking idiots run right over us? I'm sick of it. I don't think there's any reason for it to happen. I don't think there's a reason for the guy that, can play the shit out of the guitar, isn't pursuing it because he's going to, work at fucking Walmart to barely pay his bills and then be on, government assistance, to not have health insurance. I don't have health insurance. I have a lot of problems that I have to get. I haven't felt my feet in 3 years. I'm not diabetic. I'm not overweight. I have peripheral neuropathy. I can't afford to go see a fucking doctor. You understand that? And there's millions of people out there just like that. I have a hernia that I've had for 7 years that I haven't been able to get fixed because I don't have $25,000 to go do that, and I haven't been able to think that there's any time where I can miss a month of work if I did have the money to go do it. My shoulders are torn up from baseball and lifting weights and work. I can't get any of that taken care of. I can't get any of my health issues addressed by a physician. And yet I'm going to get accused with spreading medical misinformation. I can't even go see a doctor. How many of you out there are like that? How many of you out there are in that situation where the only time I go to urgent care, and that's where I have to go because I don't have a doctor. The only time that happens is if there's like a fucking bone sticking out, or if I'm so deathly fucking sick that I gotta go get some fucking antibiotics. And typically I try and get by without it. I wait till the last goddamn second to go out there. Because you walk in there and for a 15-minute consultation with a half-ass physician, it costs you at least $150. And then you got to go up to the fucking pharmacy and spend another $50. So you're $200 down on that, right? How many people out there in that position? But you pay your taxes, don't you? You pay your taxes every pay period. And it's not a voluntary thing. They just take it. That's violence, people. That's violence. Because if you don't pay it, and you don't even have a choice if you're an employee. If you're an employee of someplace, you don't have a choice. The only thing that you can do is you can fudge on your paperwork. Like I used to do that when I was younger. I put I just read Into the Wild, and I had these high lofty ideals and this and that. And so whenever I'd take a job on, I would write down on the paper. I would say my name was Alexander Supertramp, and I would check the exempt checkbox on it. And most of the time it went right through if I was working for, especially if it was a bigger company or whatever. They would you'd hand it into them and they wouldn't even look at it. It would get pushed through. And there were a lot of times where I didn't get the big deductions taken out. Come after me, IRS. See where that gets you. I know what you had to offer and I ain't scared of it. Especially after, going behind an unconstitutional fucking amendment that never was ratified, but we won't get into that. But I mean, we get taxed and dinged on every single thing. The working individual, and the difference between the oligarchs, the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. It's the middle class is going away, and that's what they want. They want us to be dependent on them. The whole thing with all these stimulus packages, they want us. It's an orchestrated thing. They want us to be dependent on that government money. Well, what happens when that government money is all of a sudden not worth anything? And that's coming. We're just sitting here waiting on the tidal wave to crash on our heads economically. And I know I sound like a record player going back and forth on this shit all the time, and everybody's probably sick of hearing about it, but I'm telling you the truth. We're standing out there looking around like, and we get wound up in things like Joe Rogan. We get wound up in this horse shit, and it's always a wag the dog type deal. What happened to Ukraine? I haven't heard it. It's all about Joe Rogan now. Have you noticed that? When we're about ready to get into another war, has anybody noticed this? We're about ready to get into another war. And all of a sudden, there's a social thing that comes up, right? That touches everybody's life. Something like fucking stupid-ass Neil Young pulling his fucking music off Spotify. And everybody, oh. And then you got a bunch of these jackwagon fucking musicians that decide to do the same thing. Good, take your fucking music and kick rocks down the fucking road, Joni Mitchell and Neil Young and whoever the fuck else is involved in that. Who gives a shit? What's it matter? These are the things that they do. They pull this type of shit so that you don't see what's really going on. It's all smoke and mirrors. What happened to Ukraine? That was all there was. And guess what's coming up March 1st? The State of the Union address. We're going to get there. We're going to get to sit here and watch this geriatric fucking bobblehead get up there and mutter and mumble and take credit for the masks being eliminated, right? Okay. He's going to take credit for that, even though he's just got up there and sounded like an old man in the backyard, yelling about keeping off the grass. He's treated the mask situation like that. He's treated the vaccine like that. And we're going to do an episode. We're going to do a live episode during the State of the Union address. I'm going to have Charlie Caperton's going to be on with me. I'd like to get K-Pook Joshua on with me. Anybody, I can put 10 people on. And we can sit there and we can watch the thing live and we could sound off on it. That's my intention, because I think it's going to be absolutely hilarious the way that they try and spin all this shit. You got a president that's in the 30s as far as percentile of approval right now. And it's going to be funny as hell to watch how he spins, tries to spin this into being like he's responsible for this. Like, people have had enough. People have just had enough. They're done. Like, people are like, you know what? Fuck the mask. Fuck the vaccine. I don't give a shit. Countries have been the same way. They're like, we're done. We're over it. I'm sure most of you out there are in the same boat. I mean, who still wants to play this shit? Our kids, I watched some footage of some kids in Israel earlier today, and the teacher came in and announced that there was no more masks, and those kids, they ripped those masks off their faces so fucking fast, and you heard that child laughter. There's nothing better than hearing a kid laugh. I mean, really, when a kid's got that laugh going where they're just tickled, like like everything's awesome. That's that was one of my favorite things when my son was younger. I used to love that when he'd start laughing like that, man. It was infectious. I'd start laughing. I couldn't quit laughing, And that was what this classroom was like. And it touched my heart to see that, because it was like these kids, they're like, they just immediately all just mask off. And they all just started looking at each other and laughing. And kids need that. They need to have that facial recognition. That's how you learn how to deal with people, is by, seeing people's expressions. That's how you learn how to express yourself. And for 2.5 years, we've taken that away from our children. For what? For what? We've been duped. And it just keeps happening. So the thing is that's my goal with this show, is just to try and, if I can, like I said, if I can make one person stop for a second and step back and open their eyes and realize, like, what the fuck is really going on? Like, what is really happening here? What are we doing? Why do we think all this bullshit is so important? It's not. There's plenty of resources out there for all of us to be comfortable and be well and do what we want to do. Not everybody wants to fucking go snowboard, but some of us do. And not everybody wants to make baskets, but some of us do. Not everybody wants to be in a quilting club, but some people do. And not everybody wants to be an artist, but some do. And not everybody wants to be a builder, but some people love doing it. But if everybody could do everything on their terms, the way they wanted to, I think the world would be a much better place. And all this bullshit that we have, I've realized myself that I've been married to material shit. I have a shop I've got to go clean out that's got hundreds of thousands of dollars of shit in it. And I don't use it anymore. It just sits there. And why do I have it? What's the point? I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm going to give most of it away, to tell you the truth. I'm going to give it away. Because to me, that's better. It's better to just, if you got something that you don't need, give it away. You feel so much better. Some of the best times of my life has been when I've just given everything away and taken what I need to absolutely live out of my vehicle and just gone. Gone and lived in a forest and worked a shitty job or whatever. Lived in a tent. Showered in a fucking mountainside lake that's colder than hell. Not made any money, but had the best time of my life. Met some of the best people doing shit like that, It's when you get wrapped up in these things, these devices, everything. And I look at all the shit I have in here. I have mixed feelings and emotions about that. At least most of the stuff that's not electronic in here, I've built myself. All the tables and the space and everything. I've created that myself. I'm not renting this space from somebody else. I don't have anybody producing the show. It's my dumb ass doing it, and that's why it turns out so great most of the time. Anyway, I digress. I'm going on an hour and 10 minutes, but I don't know. I was just watching this shit about the whole Rogan thing, and I think that honestly, that's a good dude. I don't know how many of you out there have spent any time listening to him. I love listening to him when I'm in the middle of a project. Put him on, listen to his show. The guy sits down with people and does a 3-hour conversation. And that's, I like to do that as well, because, regardless of where a person is coming from, when you sit down and you have a conversation with somebody that long and you're respectful of one another, regardless of whether you agree or you don't agree, you can find some common ground. And a lot of times you realize that the things that you think you disagree about, that it's inconsequential and you actually really don't. So unfortunately, I don't have a guest, so you get to listen to me argue with myself. So smash that like button. If you like listening to a jackass just mutter and stammer. I'm kind of like an old man, too. Back in my day, I had an onion tied to my belt. Anyway, I'm going to cut out. But, hey, support Joe Rogan. You know what I mean? And support the Canadian truckers. And support the truckers in this country. And support the workers of this country. And support the people that are out there trying to make it happen. And support one another. I mean, we're nobody without each other is the big thing. You know, and every single day, the powers that be are trying to rip us apart from one another. And it's time to quit letting that happen, you know? It's time to walk away from that shit. Hence, hashtag walk away. I encourage you all to jump on board with that. I've been trying to get it going, and I'm going to keep on with it. Because I think if we all just treat this system like a petulant child that just whines and snivels and demands attention, and I mean, what happens with a kid that does that and you just ignore them? Guess what? They realize, oh man, I better knock this shit off, you know? And that's what we have in government. We have a bunch of whiny, petulant little children that want to stay on the money river, take the money from you, and money is nothing. Money isn't anything. It's not even real. It's not real. This is all just a facade. It's a fucked up simulation, and we're caught in the middle of it, and we're fighting with each other of it. So, as I've said, you can hit me up, put some comments out there. I'd love to hear from you on the comments. That'd be nice. You know, give me a thumbs up, even a thumbs down, or just some kind of reaction. I don't care. Subscribe to the channel. That'd be awesome. And hit me up. I got some people that want to come on. Josh Robertson, I'm going to be bringing him on. Sorry, Josh, I've put you off to the side, and I apologize for that. I'm going to try and get it. There's a number of other people that I want to bring on. I'm not going to put their names out there right now, but they're going to be great guests. As I said, I've just been kind of waiting to get this dialed in, and it seems like I'm not losing frames or anything like that. I'm looking at drop frames right now, and I have got frames missed on my stats right now. There's 0%, and skip frames are none. So let me know, if you're listening, let me know how you thought the stream worked out, how it came out. I can take any of you all, anybody on a Bluetooth audio call. I can bring you in if you've got a webcam, or if you got a FaceTime camera and you can hold your camera, hold your phone still without shaking the thing around. I can bring you in on video. And I'm more than happy to do so. And I'll do, like I said, I'll do a better job of getting back at people. And but yeah, if you comment, if you're watching this, you comment underneath, that's awesome. More interaction that happens, the better it gets. And really, I want to bring, any of you listeners, I want to bring you in on the conversation. It's not just about me sitting here and running my neck. I want to hear what you think, what you have to say, how all this stuff affects you personally. I mean, because really that's what I care about. I just want to be a conduit. That's it. I just want to be a conduit to, get ideas out there. That's it. There's no, none of this. I don't, it's not about me. I don't care. I've been through enough that I don't have to do that. I'm just doing this because I feel like it's a calling, and it's something that, I feel like it's something that I'm supposed to do. And it's something I'm supposed to do for all of you. I mean, that's what I want this to be. And I want this to be a show and, a platform and a venue for all of us to have conversation, for all of us to talk, for all of us to understand one another and I strive towards, solidarity and unity. And that's what it's about to me. It's about love. It's about compassion. Because without those things, we don't have anything, That's the big thing in my mind. It's like love and compassion. understanding what other people are going through, stepping into other people's shoes, stepping back from yourself and taking a different viewpoint from outside of yourself as to what other individuals are going through, what they deal with on a day-to-day basis, and vice versa for everybody, you know? And just the understanding that this rat race and this chase for this money and all this shit is really taking us all to the same place. It's taking us all to the same grave. None of us are going anywhere other than in the ground, you know? So why not take care of one another on our trip there and make it a lot easier on ourselves? I mean, why are we 30 trillion in debt? There's evil out there, and we've allowed evil to overtake us. And that's the way I see it. I see a national debt as being an evil thing. I see banks and Federal Reserve and politicians. It's all evil. It's not good. What good has it done you? Somebody tell me what good a politician has done. Let me know. I'd like to hear that. Tell me where a politician is, like, come help you chop wood or mow your yard or change your kid's dirty diaper or help you cook dinner. Gone to the grocery store for it. Tell me where a politician's done anything like that for you. And then why we're willing to fight with one another over these idiots. I'd like to know. I'm not willing to fight with anybody over them. I couldn't care less. I'm not going to fight with anybody over it. I don't give a shit what side of the fence you're on. Couldn't care less. I mean, my outlook on it is the whole thing is a fucking, it's a goddamn tire fire at this point in time. And it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. Jump on the middle. Let's all jump on the middle of the fence and knock the goddamn thing down. How about that? Let's knock the fence down and let's have a fucking barbecue. Let's cook out. Let's have our kids play together. Let's fucking play lawn darts. Whatever. Frisbee golf. Play cornhole with a beanbag. Whatever. I don't care. Let's knock the fence down and play some cornhole. How about that? Hashtag cornhole. Anyway, with that, I've babbled on long enough. Much love to all y'all. I care about each and every one of you. And let's just keep on keeping on, and let's try to make each day a little bit better for one another. Do something kind for somebody tomorrow. That's my challenge for you. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing. All right, I've already got something in mind. Tomorrow, if you listen to this, go out and do something kind for somebody. And try and do it without them knowing that you were behind it. Because there's nothing that feels better. So try and do that. All right? Okay. Peace out, y'all. For the Mike Files, episode whatever the fuck. Peace out. And I'm going to take us out again with Brandon Hart, my boy out in L.A. Check out his music on Spotify, on iTunes. He's got a website out there. Buy one of his shirts. I just bought a couple of them for Ricardo and I, and hopefully Ricardo's back. Ricardo, shout out, brother. Get your butt up back here in the studio, man. I've been missing you, homie. Hopefully next time I'm on, Ricardo will be here. All right, so peace and chicken grease. Later days, Willie Mays.
I've been up all night trying to figure this out. I drank a half a bottle of whiskey, sat down on my couch. Couldn't believe what they were talking about when someone said they found you dead at your house. And how could this be true? I still needed you. I can't believe that I'll never see you sorry, brother. I wish I could have done more. I miss you. I will always love you. You will always hold a space in my heart. This song is for you.